Okay, we are ready.
Was truly an eye. While on a trip, Jake made an unexpected move. He
We're
bought a
live, Mr. McIntosh.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we are addressing some of the craziness that's going on around the country, and especially here in America, um, with the Epstein file and the big nasty bill that's still out there. And we're gonna get right into it. Um, First, we'll introduce our host, Mr. Derek Scott, who is chair of the Escambia County Democrat Party. Mr. Vernon Watson, who you'll be watching this show, WBQP, Roku, Fire Stick, and YouTube, and of course, all of our Facebook pages. Um, when we have some special guests, and I'm going to let Derek introduce our special guest this evening. Derek.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a terrific week. And I will say this week has been full of a lot of things. A lot of things have happened, and particularly here in Escambia County and the city of Pensacola. For those unaware, we several things over the last few weeks have occurred. One of which being the untimely departure, as I'll put it in quotes, of Pensacola Police Chief Eric Randall. And then we had the unveiling of the plans for the Fricker Center here in the city of Pensacola and its renovation. And that was an interesting meeting. So I thought it would be great to have Jermaine Williams. Jermaine is a community activist who attended the meeting and kind of led the charge to kind of just recap, tell us a little bit about what's happening, what the plan is for the Fricker Center, what the feedback from the community has been, and next steps. So, Jermaine, welcome. I appreciate you joining us.
I like to call myself a friend of the show. I love being here. I can't wait to get that co-host thing underneath my background. No, it was an interesting meeting. I know you said, about their plans, and I know we also have Jonathan Green here as well on, and I think he has a little bit more information about their plans. When it comes to the plans for me, I wasn't listening because I think their plans uh have already been made. Um I believe that, first of all, whenever you have the city of Pensacola coming to a place like Ferguson, they're saying they're gonna drop $9 million. We already know it's not for the benefit of the people that look like us. So I looked at it as a complete dog and pony show. We if you don't know who uh, the Reeves family are and with the mayor DC Reeves, you should go do some research on his mom and his dad. So when it comes to stuff like that, I think like I grew up on East Street, E and Lee, 2 blocks down from Baptist Hospital. That was around the time where you wouldn't catch, like white people around the alphabet streets like that. That's the cornerstone of that. My grandmother house is in the heart of that area. So you go a couple blocks one way, that's Shannon. You go a couple blocks another way, that's Morris Court. You go a couple blocks another way, that's A Street and Ferguson and Addis Court. That's a place you don't want to get caught after night or in the daytime. So when you have that area looking the way it looks now, and it is completely almost gentrified. All of the neighbors that lived in that area in the early 90s, they're not there. They're gone. So when I see the mayor, uh, the city of Pensacola come in with some kind of grant for $9 million to make renovations to the Fricker Center, um, I'm thinking, well, you better get ready for pickleball courts outside of Addis Court because that's who they're pandering to. And if you're not careful enough, and you don't keep your eyes on City Hall, they're going to find a way around the housing authority, take over Fricker Center, knock it down, not Fricker Center, Addis Court, knock it down, build affordable houses or condos, and that renovation for the Fricker Center is going to look like what's to come. So what I wanted everyone to do is show up, uh, get the information, be angry if you want, you know, just let individuals be individuals. I try not to influence what, you can't control what people do, but I will say I'm very, 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 very proud of us. Um, Listen, I work. My grandmother, she's been gone for 2 years now. My grandmother was almost a lifelong member of Movement for Change. I worked with Leroy Boyd. I got to see him up close and personal at his best. Um, and I've been around activism or organizing, whatever term you want to use, 17 years, and I've never seen nothing like I seen last whatever day that was, Wednesday, Thursday. You saw inside that Fricker Center, standing room only, and a line of people in the hallway trying to get in. And you got everybody from young people with tattoos everywhere and gold in their mouth to the oldest generation that probably saw Kennedy elected. And all of them was not playing no games. And it was even so much so, it was like a competition between the generations of who can be the loudest and make that environment the most hostile. And I tell you what, the young generation took an L that day because our elders was not playing. So that's what it is. We're organizing. We're trying to do some stuff. Um, but I will say this is a great day for Pensacola, for the have-nots of Pensacola. We've never been united like this before. I haven't seen it in my lifetime with the generational age gap. And people are frustrated. They're mad. Um, you know, People are not praying for a change. They're actively taking a step to do it. And I think some of the our great preachers can take a lesson from their congregation. Sometimes you got to step from behind that pulpit and start putting some action behind those fancy words.
Gotcha. We also have with us Miss fortunate to have Miss Clarissa Schumo. Clarissa was a delegate to the or went to the Democratic Convention in 2024, and you were also at the meeting. Could you give us your thoughts, where you stand and how this impacts us?
Well, first and foremost, hello everyone. Yes, I was at the meeting and I was actually very pleased. What may have come across to some as chaos, I believe it was strategic chaos. It's so important to show how you feel about something. Oftentimes, to get people riled up or, into something happening as of late, I have to say, it seems like it's almost impossible to have people to get upset. And that's where you have to start. And it is so important. And my apologies, my phone of course starts ringing. It's so important for people to understand that this is an issue that we do need to stand up. We do need to pay attention. And here's the deal. Any of us that have any history here in Pensacola, we've seen this before. So we have a reason. This is not something that's just out of, somebody just paranoia, conspiracy type of thing. We have seen our neighborhoods time and time again taken over, and but yet told one thing and something else happens. So I think that everyone that came out should come out again on the 31st. the city does need to show transparency. We are in the middle of organizing. So anyone that's interested in being a part of this and standing up and having your voices heard, please, give one of us a call, text, send us a message, social media, what have you, and we'll get that information out to you as it happens. But I think what happened the other night just showed just how upset and fed up we are across all ages, how upset we are. And it's not just about Fricker. There's so many other issues going on, and it all came to a head last week.
Clarissa, you were saying that come out on the 31st. Where's the, for those who don't know,
so come back out on to Fricker Center. It's going to be same time, 6:30. The meeting is from 6:30 to 8. And I encourage people to come out to that. And if you have an issue, a question, just wanting to know what the agenda, the timeline, please come out to that. I went because I wanted to know what was going on. Because when I initially went online trying to get more information, there wasn't that much information to obtain. And still, even and although, everyone started talking and asking questions and being heard and venting and all of that, prior to that, as they were going through the information, it still was in a infancy stage where I don't understand how 2 meetings is considered enough for residents to give input to something like rebuilding this community center that affects so many.
Thank you for that. We also are fortunate to have Jonathan Garrett Green, JD. His pronouns are he, him. He is a seasoned mediator, a strategist, and educator with extensive experience in conflict resolution, community engagement, and social justice initiative. Currently serving as Chief of Strategy, Intervention, and Conflict Resolution at the American Humanity Mediation Services. He specializes in trauma-informed, healing-centered approaches to de-escalation and dispute resolution. His background includes leadership roles with the Southern Poverty Law Center and the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General, where he developed statewide civil rights programs and facilitated urgent mediations affecting millions. With certifications in mediation, project management, and community dialogue, Jonathan is dedicated to fostering peace and equity through innovative and community-driven solutions. Jonathan, welcome to the show, and tell us, what were your thoughts?
Thank you all for having me here. Definitely good to see a lot of familiar faces. So really, I wanted to kind of express further hone on some of the sentiment that my comrade Jermaine and Clarissa were explaining, but really, I want to, people keep describing it as being this fiery, tense scene, which I think the emotions of the community haven't been unheard for decades. I think that tension was thick in the air, but I wouldn't describe it as fiery only because we have to look at the root of the instigation of the conflict. It wasn't necessarily the architects and the individuals there on behalf of remodeling Fricker. And it's not that the community doesn't want much needed upgrades. It's like my colleague Jermaine said, why is it $9.5 million being all of a sudden exerted into an area that's been devoid attention for so long? But then also there were inflammatory remarks that were being made by what individuals may consider our elders, that our elders trying to simmer down a younger generation that is fed up, and also our elders who tried to simmer down other elders who are also fed up. So I think the aspect of mutual respect not being heard in a space where everyone has something to say. It's not just young people. It's not old people. It's not our elders. It's not the in-between of who votes and who doesn't. Everyone in the community has something to say and has a feeling that they feel about what's been going on and what's been going on. Jermaine said the mayor, who they just removed the mayor's Pfister from being over the housing department? Where's the conflict of interest, the checks and balances with the ethics commission? How does his father become this HUD landlord who's a slumlord? He has over 200 properties in Escambia County, and he's one of our elected politicians as well, Jim Reeves. So it's like the community has been unheard for so long that this isn't something new. The tension that was heard the other night shouldn't be a frustration that is a realization of people now. It's a realization of everyone's voice who has not been heard since Pensacola being its first city colonized in European colonization, that our voices have been unheard from John Sunday, not talking about his home, but talking about the legacy in which he established for us to even be able to operate into what we're operating in. And people in our community, I think we have to be transparent that every time we show up to these meetings, it's a day late and $1 short, because the individuals downtown legislating government on the local level are telling us to come to a meeting that's already been had and these things have already been decided, but then they want to do a town hall to give lip service because their plans, like Jermaine said, is already in motion. So it's about the full transparency, like Clarissa said.
So Jonathan, do you think they, when they have their meetings, that we are not at the table? They making sure that we are not at the table.
Well, and see that's the hoodwink, because it's a public meeting, because it's a city council meeting, because it's a county commission meeting. The meeting's advertised in public. Anyone can come. The elders who may not have rides and who can't see in the evening at that time may not be conducive to have transportation. The individuals who have worked for the meetings that are during the daytime at 9:30, they have meetings at times that are inconvenient for the people. We live in 2025, that there should be technological innovations that allow people to be more involved in politics and government. But we have the same rigmarole that's been a timeless classic of let me wave with one hand and smile while I sign legislation that does the opposite with the other.
Okay. Jermaine, what the crust of what took place of the night do you think is going to make any difference?
You mean like what took place that night?
Right.
So here's my thing, Mr. McIntosh. I think, and you know this better than I do. Hell, I learned from you, so I know you know better than I do. They have these meetings all the time, you know, East Side neighborhood meetings or, you know, whatever. So they was just probably expecting the same 10 to 15 people come in, um, give their input, you know, because the guy I won't say messed up, but correct me if I'm wrong, Clarissa and Jonathan, but the grant writer said in the midst of the chaos, um, that we only have 2 months to get your input because we're starting in 2 months. Who do you know starts a $9 million project with 2 months planning? So, you know, I think their plan was already in place, but they came in thinking that they were going to talk to some sweet old people, excuse the term old, but elderly people to get input about aerobics, uh, you know, the stove in the kitchen at the Fricker Center, whatever. And then they could be like, well, we got the input, you know, and move on with what they wanted. What they didn't know, which the mayor knew though, is that almost 200 Black people who was fed up and had built up animosity that 50 years plus was ready to spill it all out on whoever was there. Now the mayor, like you, when we was off air, you mentioned my live when I went live about it.
Mm-hmm.
That live got like 30,000 views. When I laid out the connection between I laid out the connection between Randall, Truth for Youth Building, and Fricker Center. Why they're important, why they connect, why we need the care, and why you need to be there at Fricker Center. And people answered the call in droves. And what they wasn't expecting was for us to be there. So to answer your question, I took the long way. Yes, it changed something because now they're scrambling down there at City Hall trying to figure out what to do. So much so to where you know who we've been dealing with and how it's no new playbook for the powers that be.
Mhm.
And Mayor DC Reeves took time out of his busy schedule to comment on my Facebook post. And it was a tip of the hat to let me know, we see you. So of course he wasn't there. And so they have to go back in and re-strategize because now their worst nightmare has come true. Um, they woke up.
So,
So,
go ahead, Clarissa.
so one of the things I just want to point out. So during this meeting, one of the questions that I asked was about the stormwater retention fund. It was already a question I had in, well, not kind of, it was already a question I had in my mind, that I was going to wait until later to ask, like the following meeting. However, when they were discussing the plans about the parking lot and increasing parking, nowhere in there that just explanation did they say anything about the stormwater retention. And when I asked about it, it didn't seem like there was any ideas that wasn't a part of the conversation, because in essence he was like, well, that's something we're definitely going to have to look at. Because I said, if you're going to make this more narrow, first of all, what's there is horrible, and that's, it floods over there, as anyone that's lived or goes through that area, which my grandmother lived across the street from there, by the way, on that second house on the corner on East. So I know this area well. So you're going to make it more narrow and not deeper. So it's going to be even worse problem, but yet you are increasing the parking lot. So it's things like these, issues like that we need to be there for, and we need to hold them to the fire for that. I mean, out of the little information that is available online about this project, one of the things it says the grant is for improving the flood, stormwater development, but yet that's not happening. So then this place is going to end up flooding, and then they're going to close Addis Court because people can't stay there because it's in a flood zone.
But also look at the historical link of what's happening with that, because you see, so for instance, and I'll bring it to Clarissa's point exactly, you see when the jail blew up, the Escambia County jail blew up, and instead of doing the useful purpose they did with the old jail site was dig a holding pond. The purpose for that is so it reduces the flooding in the Shantytown area, so that way they can gentrify that area. But what's going to happen if they cause flooding? If they have a plan, they have a grant right now for the Fricker Center area, right, at its court area, that if the question is posed about what about stormwater retention, there's no answer, but we have to build this thing, and we have to start this thing in 2 months, have this answer that the plan is to move forward without a plan for stormwater retention. So it floods, so you can have an Aragon court situation that you deem it uninhabitable, and then you get the state to sell the property for a lease for 99 years for $1 maybe to the city, to then sell at a profit to then create more affordable housing. We see it coming down the line because it's happened the past decades before I was even born. And I think because we're at this apex right now, everyone coming together to say this from generations, it's coming to head.
So you I know you're saying affordable housing, but the houses that's that built down there is way unaffordable. So we have to
let me
change the
Attainable,
language.
let me
attainable
say
housing.
but see that's the trick with the words downtown. Affordable
Yeah,
housing is the new code word for gentrification.
just fishing,
So
right?
if we don't understand that the subsidies before COVID a 2x4 cost $2, that post COVID it had risen to $8. That means raw materials quadrupled, which means the housing market was not stable in any way, shape, means, form, or fashion, and it made housing unaffordable. That they give the company so many tax breaks, 0% taxes, that's how they get that money back. But the thing is that money grab that we don't understand the aspects of how they gonna take that property.
I mean, I just think if you look at the 10 yard, you look at Belmont and the Villas, Jonathan talked about Town. I mean, I don't know if y'all know or not, but Jim Reeves and the Macmillan School Building and Representative Salzman, the backdoor deal they have with that. Um, like I told everybody on Facebook, we're gonna look up and we're gonna be on Gulf Beach Highway. And it's just one of those things that Pensacola is going to be beautiful in the next 10, 15 years in that area, downtown. It's going to be nice. But we
Put,
just we
put out
just
that put out that Macmillan school, brother. I apologize.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. What you were saying?
I was telling you, put out that Macmillan school, that word that you received on that.
Yeah. I don't want to dive too deep in it, but I was go
No,
ahead, Dick.
but I was going to say, I think it is important that you dive deep because you touched on something, and I think we have an audience here that may expound beyond, the scope of your live, and an audience who watches on WBQP that goes beyond the scope of what happened in the Fricker Center meeting. So, if you could, I would like you to touch base on the interconnectivity between what you talked about, the Fricker Center, and then the Truth for Youth building. How is it from your perspective? And I want to get this from all of you, from Tracy and Jonathan, you got to jump in too. But what is, so that people understand, what is the interconnectivity? And linking into the Macmillan Center. I often think about Macmillan Center because my mom was over Title I many, many years ago when I was in high school. So I used to leave that office going to take people home when I leave PHS. So talk about what the interconnectivity is. Sorry, Jill. Before you do, Jill wants to say something.
Okay, first I apologize for being late, but because I am not from Pensacola, I know the Fricker Center because my boys play basketball. But everything else, I'm not connecting. So can you guys do just a little history for those of us that are not familiar with Pensacola as well as you guys are, or live in Okaloosa or Santa Rosa or Walton County? But answer his question. Just give us a little history so we can follow.
I'll let somebody else go with the history lesson because
And I can jump in, Clarissa, if you want to.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So essentially, with Fricker Center, Attucks Court, it's all over Pensacola. Black communities are and have been continually the gentrification, the affordable housing boom being driven out. We know through but the thing is, it's not indicative of Pensacola. We know this is happening everywhere, but specific to Pensacola, for instance, one of the questions posed the other night at Fricker Center was if the Parks and Recreation city official who the city designated to be the representative there that night, that was the highest ranking person, asked if they knew what was at Aragon, where the $1 million homes are on Bayfront Parkway, if what was there before Hurricane Ivan. They had no idea. They were wide-eyed, waiting for the answer, and it was Aragon Court projects. We know what happened at Escambia Arms. We know even in Wedgwood, they have a landfill. If you ride into Wedgwood, there are sulfur signs that in their warning lights that if the levels are too high, the the signals are supposed to go off. So I remember back in 2018, 19, I think right after I ran for mayor, a national report came out that said Escambia County was the 11th most contaminated county in the nation. Why? And how did they discover that? So environmental justice in the areas that they typically house Black people in, right? So how did they discover that? Because they tested the water, the fresh water, and the amoebas were not growing at a fast enough rate for the small fish and plankton to thrive, for the larger fish and predators to live off of, so the ecosystem is being discriminated against by the work we're doing. So in Escambia County being the 11th most contaminated area, we have to realize in the Tan Yard area, my grandmother died from cancer. Many of her friends died from cancer in the area where they're building the Hard Rock. It used to be a poop factory, literal shit plant. And they just rerouted those pipes from downtown to the north of the county. They didn't stop all of the fecal matter in Pensacola from coming in that area. And when it floods in that, we talk about stormwater retention, when it rains heavy, there is flooding through there. You might see fecal matter floating around either in the bay. You're not really supposed to eat the fish out the bay. You're not supposed to fish out of Sanders Beach, Bruce Beach, none of those. And they just built a beach for people to go in. Why? The mercury levels are too high. You can't eat the fish, the glass and stuff that was polluted in Sanders Beach, Bayou Texar. All of these things go into how Black folks and brown folks are treated in our county. But it's not just a Black and brown thing. It's a poor economical thing because the powers that be are in spaces that cause this to occur. So we have the historical systemic nature of this that my grandparents have been dealing with and before up to now. And it's the same song, same story. So we are getting ahead of it this time. And this is where Jermaine and also for the Pensacola community, I just want to say on behalf of everyone, Jermaine, thank you for putting that call out because you are the reason a lot of this came, not necessarily to attention, but for everybody to come together to bring it to a focal attention that this matter. So, brother, I know you had something to say on beyond the history.
I appreciate
so just to make sure. Oh,
no,
sorry.
go ahead, Clarissa. I was just saying I appreciate that, but I think it was the community that did the heavy lifting. Go ahead, Clarissa.
So I was just going to say about Aragon Court because I'm not. I feel like you left out just a little piece. So Aragon Court was initially, low-income housing, which was deemed the water was toxic. It was uninhabitable, and so everyone was moved out of there. And then now, I can't remember how many years later it was. I'm sorry, that is escaping me right now. Then they built what you see now downtown. So when you have that, and then Wedgwood, which was supposed to be this great, neighborhood for us, and part of those coming from Aragon Court was moved out that way. Lo and behold, all the things that was supposed to be in Wedgwood was not, never came to fruition. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, then you have a landfill. So when you take those two things, and there are other examples, but when you take those two major things, you cannot help but be concerned with, hey, what are they doing this time? But now that we've had it happen to us countless times, we're going to be a part of this, and it's not going to just we're not going to just allow it to happen. It can't.
And so a year ago, they tore the Malcolm Young Center down in Pensacola. The big thing behind that wasn't the fact of the mayor said that because certain people who were bringing the issue didn't live in the neighborhood, we shouldn't have an issue. Well, now that it's in the neighborhood that people live in, we have an issue. It was still a problem last year with Malcolm Young, but the thing was the assessment that the city had performed on the Malcolm Young Center said that it would, literal verbatim line of the assessment, the last paragraph, this is not a final complete assessment. Before the city acts on determining the outcome of Malcolm Young Center, that a full assessment should be completed. And they went off of that to destroy Malcolm Young to then sell for affordable housing purposes, which everyone knows who the housing director, Mayor Reeves, the former housing, his sister, was planning to, like, there's a whole tiny home community plan for these affordable housing aspects everywhere, because the thing is, they're going to circumvent how the codes for apartments can be done. That they're going to be able to make more money on the same spaces by having more people consolidated and condensed down, and while causing the median income to grow, because you can't afford to live there, the people who can live here. So all of this is a way to weed Black folks out while not keeping us fully aware of what's going on and causing us to lose the property we own or never become property owners.
Or in the case of the interstate, losing some of your property, if not all of it. And those communities were also displaced, and part of them was moved out to the Wedgwood area. So that's something else. And even when you look at what's happening now, the development with Hollis T. Park, I have to say, and I will give the city kudos on this, I feel like there's been nothing but transparency with that. And that's not been a 2-month, oh Lord, don't tell me something. Okay.
No, because Hollis T. Williams Park is under the interstate, correct? How can they use grant funding dedicated for that area specifically? That's what they said. They're going to use it for the old HRS building on Palafox. That's not Hollis T. Williams Park. How they gonna tell me that's being the grant funding's being used appropriately? If they just came out with that last week. The mayor said they plan on buying that building with the Hollis T. Williams Fund money. Yeah.
And see, thank you for that. See, I wasn't aware of that, because between the passing, and may he rest in power, Reverend Powell, his passing, I missed that. Which is why
I do want to say shout out to WEAR, and I don't say that a lot, but boy, they've been letting this mayor have it. That it was hell week last week for him. They released the story that Jonathan just spoke about. Then they released the initial fiddlers, the prior city administrators evaluation of Chief Randall, and then this new one that only had 2 months with him. Then the next day they released another article about the lack of diversity in the mayor's cabinet. So WEAR has been on a roll right now. It's been, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. But see, this is really the meat and the reason of what happened on last week. Folks are fed up and tired of being hoodwinked, lied to, told something's one way and it actually ends up being another. And then, hey, we all know at the end of the day what? Follow the money. And actually, when you start looking at what's really happening, and you get your answers. So I know the mayor was on the radio saying something about, he's hired, Black people, this, that, and the third. Well, you got one person right now of color in your your directors. Make it make sense.
And if you're looking for a job and you Black, now is a good time to put in for the city, because they probably are hiring you right now.
I just have to be honest to make it make sense. It's because if I don't have to hire Black folks, I'm not going to, and you can't make me, is the sentiment that's being given. I'm just saying, that's my personal opinion.
And see, under the what they call diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're not just saying, we just under DEI, we just pushing all the Blacks out, but that's exactly what they're doing.
Race neutral language. So if you say my cabinet has to have Black folks, well, it's not race neutral if you say that.
Right. But the ones that were there, and the ones that, like the chief of police, all of them are being pushed out. But under pretense of diversity and equity and inclusion, they are doing their dirty work and thinking nobody is seeing it, And for another thing that we have to think about, from Cervantes all the way back to the water, is considered waterfront property. And everything down there in that area it's going to skyrocket even more. And this is why they're talking about putting the kind of money they are putting in there. But as you said earlier, if it's built so in a flood, they will do just like they did the other place. I remember when they condemned and was moving people like cows out of that arrogant court down there on the water. And I'm like, because we was fighting that. And then, they destroyed the Navy houses because we were trying to help people get into Navy houses at the time. They destroyed those as well. So the people didn't have much of a choice except to go to other housing areas or to Wagewood or to conditions where it was not really conducive for good living because it was contaminated and toxic as well.
Mr. McIntosh, I also think it's fair. Like, I don't think we should just sit up here and talk about what the mayor is doing to let this happen or push this forward, and without leaving off the fact that he's having black help as well in doing it. And and I'm just gonna say, like, this is a new Pensacola on both sides. They're building a new Pensacola, and we're rising up on our side in a new way that Pensacola haven't seen. And for us, we need to start getting the leadership in there that looks like us. You know,
Well,
oh yeah, that's your expertise. Come
sorry.
on,
No,
let me.
no. I was going to say something I didn't need to say. So go ahead, please finish.
No, you just saved me from something I didn't need to say. So,
Yeah. No.
no, I just feel like, and this is why the gentrification is so important. You look at a district like District 3, Escambia County Commissioner. It's looking like, we know guaranteed we're gonna have a black face coming in there. It's a historic black district. But with that gentrification coming up, you get you a polished Republican with some jail to the side, he can have an IQ as dumb as rocks, and he in there. And then a black, historic, powerful district has fallen. And it's gonna be harder to win these races, that historically went our way. And I don't mean to call out District 3 for a specific reason. I'm just saying.
Well, it is a majority minority district. So
right, exactly. So I just feel like, and I'm not even just talking about political, like any kind of leader, any kind of church leader, any kind of, don't matter. Like, if they selling us out for their own pockets, they gotta go. That's it. And when I say they gotta go, we don't need to go kill them or nothing. But we definitely we don't need to support them. We don't need to look at them like they're one of us. And we need to start calling it out. There was plenty of people at that Frickin' Center meeting tried to talk to us and calm us down like they are a leader. And I don't blame that person because it happened so much in the past. But we let them know, hey, we know you sold us out. We know you sold us out. Sit down and give up the mic. We don't want to hear from you. Like, them days are over where the quiet part is out loud and on the table. If you knew gentrification was coming and instead of warning us, you went and brought property, hey, we own you now. We're gonna scream it out every time. Like, those days are over. Those days are over.
And one thing to add to what Jermaine was saying too, I think it's easy to continually voice our frustrations, but one great thing that I think came out of Jermaine's rallying cry is the fact that the community is taking actionable steps to plan and come up with proposed solutions and ideas to present at this next Thursday meeting. So being in a way where we can organize our organization of people, and it's not a formal organization, it's literally the processes of what it is we want, how it is our plan of attack and strategy that we want to see as a community. And the thing is, it's word of mouth. Like we understand how success looks to achieve community work from a grassroots level. And that's always done through the most effective word of mouth campaigning. So it's being able to galvanize ourselves and making it a continual habitual thing, because we're not just sitting here complaining. We're sitting here complaining with complaints that are tangible, and we have ideas for solutions, and we don't want our ideas for solutions to be minimized or invalidated. We want to be uplifted by our community representatives who were elected to hear our voice and bring a tangible solution.
And also, really quick, it's just that throughout that meeting, like I say, I liken it to a football game, and we were at home at Fricker Center. We at home. Those people came into our home. They came in a hostile environment. And when you got people that look like us trying to standing up with the mic saying, "Hey, everybody, calm down," it's criminal to tell people who have been downtrodden for over 50 years in that area to calm down. That's criminal. Like, no, we're not calming down. Like, that's crazy. And I will say, you know, um, there go back to what you're saying, Derek, earlier. In that 5 mile radius block, so to speak, you got the Truth for Youth building that's sitting on Belmont and the Villas, which I already know. As soon as the great Reverend Powell died. Well, I won't even say that. As soon as he had his heart attack, I know a few people probably. I don't know this for certain, but I know that they went into an emergency meeting. How the hell we gonna get that building? We got a great opportunity now, you know. Um, so you got that building. Then you got Fricker Center sitting there. Then you got the Terry McMillan building, where which is another thing. We can't let the Escambia School Board off the hook. How did Jim Reeves is in talks and finalized talks of getting that building? Some say for next to nothing. Some say $1, as low as $1. Signing a lease for 99 years on that building and putting up pallet homes. And then driving up the full cost for 99 years for a building you got for next to nothing, creating generational wealth in our own backyard. Then so much so that you strike a deal with Representative Salzman to have the CSI prisoners build the pallet homes and then say it's for their betterment, but yet they're getting dirt cheap labor, slave labor to build these homes where they pretty much stole the property and then just getting money for 99 years for top dollar, somewhat waterfront property for the new Pensacola. That's right there. That's Macmillan, that's Fricker, that's True for You. These are three dominoes that we got to stand firm on. And I urge everyone to that next city council meeting. You sign up for the Leroy Boyd open forum and you let your voice be heard about Chief Randall, about DC Reeves, about whatever you see the problem. Because I tell you what makes me so angry is the same people that was sitting in Reverend Powell's funeral, speaking about how great it was, either is actively helping take the building or know what's going on and ain't helping stop it. So, our allies, you take a look at them. Take a look at your allies and you tell me what you think.
You,
It
you
got a
know,
soul of a man.
Hearst Chapel tried to get that building as well because it's across the street. Because when they were going to school there, they used to use Hearst Chapel church over there to for that. And that's right. Macmillan is the one on Garden Street, right? Jeremy.
Macmillan is
McMillan,
go ahead there.
McMillan is behind the post office.
Yeah,
So
by
there's a,
Shannon Town.
yeah, direct,
Oh,
like,
okay.
what is that, off of
Okay.
L and Scott Young, one of those two. Oh, over there. No.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. But it's another one that's they condemned as right there on C Street, that old school there that Hearst Chapel was trying to get. And now I think the city got that as well. So all of those buildings that because Hearst Chapel wanted to get it for their youth program and to put have some symbols of a museum in there of other programs at the one that is right across the street on C Street. But they couldn't get that. They was telling how much it was going to cost and all that. Then I heard that they're getting that building for a whole lot less than what they told Hearst Chapel that they could get it for.
Yeah, wasn't Jacqueline Harris trying to get that school as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
I think so.
they
Yeah.
bid it for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. They did. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question, and I'm gonna try to ask this as best I can because you said something, Jermaine, that while I agree, I tend to take it a little, not disagree. I take it a step further. You talk about making sure that we have representation that looks like us, that reflects the community, and particularly in Black spaces. I agree with that. However, I am a huge the thing that irks me to no end is to have people who represent you who look like you but don't advocate for you or do stuff to be in the detriment of Black and brown communities. That is my pet peeve. So I'm not ever going to support someone just because they Black and they look like me and they think that that's it. You got to actually do something for me. We did the same thing, or at least I did the same thing. I was very vocal about. We had last year someone who ran for the United States Senate, a Black man who was a very nice man. He was Black, but wasn't the best person for the role, and certainly could not advocate for anybody who looked like you or I. So it was time to step aside. We had to do something different. But as we move forward, I guess you talk about going to the city council and having your voice heard. Where do they stand in all of this? Because the mayor is just the mayor, but I would expect that as government works the way it should, the city council should have that voice as well to weigh in on these things. What is the position, or where are they weighing in on these things? Have they said anything?
Well, it's not promising when from what I understand, and I could double check on this, that the city council went with the mayor, voted with the mayor to pay off Pathway for Change's mortgage. And do you know who owned Pathway for Change? Connie Bookman. You know what that is?
DC Reeves' mom, yeah, the mayor's mom.
So how much faith do you have in the city council?
Right.
And then on top of that, as Haley said in the comments, strong mayor. This ain't, when I was in the fifth, when I went to AA Dixon, Mayor, y'all remember Mayor Fogg?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was just a shake, wave and cut ribbons, and he now no power. That's different. Ashley Hayward changed all that. So, we have a strong mayor now. But no, I mean, yeah, this city council, again, I'm with you, Derek. You can't just see a Black face and think you see yourself in it. It was people that put the wool over our eyes for years that's got us in this mess. Yeah, maybe I should stop talking. Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say,
I know you made a statement about District 3 and gentrification, and that we could lose that district. I would go further to say not only could we lose that district for the county commissioner seat, but other city council seats as well because of gentrification in the city in that area. So we had already lost. I believe was it two of them, two city council seats. I know one is definitely gone. We had District 5, 6, and 7, and right now it's just 5. I don't know if it's 5 and 6 or 5 and 7.
Well, yeah, because then they take over the at-large.
1, 3, and 5. Yeah, there are no at large. So district, yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. But the minority majority, I think, was 5, 6, and 7.
Well, see, and the reason why I always point to the district before I say the city is because that the county just controlled the Tallahassee dollars, the big boy pot, you know.
Right.
And that's what's scary to me is the big boy pot not going in the way that we needed to go. Yeah. Yeah, but also, yeah, absolutely, city council. It's just as important as you could say, as you can see, we talking about a group of individuals that say, "Oh yeah, Mr. Mayor, you want to pay off your mama mortgage with the tax dollars of Pensacola of these hard-working citizens? Go ahead, and we with you on that. As long as I could get what I want." And so yeah, I think we need to totally reframe um, uh, these seats the way we want them to look. And I do stand corrected by Derek because it don't need to just look like a hell. They could be white, Asian, whatever, as long as that we have the same like mind. Because I tell you what, it was the black people, a lot of black elected officials who we trusted, who some of us still trust, that got us right here in this mess right now.
And I will say regarding like the strong mayor form of government, the mayor hasn't even no mayor has used the strong mayor form of government, although they have the power. The strong mayor form of government is when they sign executive orders to circumvent the power of the city council. But the thing is, with the stroke of a pen, he could put tax caps on residents who have lived in Pensacola for 30 years, the length it takes to pay off a mortgage, right? That way, if those tax caps, if you're on a fixed income living in a retirement city, in a retirement state, you're not going to be thrown off from the gentrification in your increased property taxes because all these homes going up that they say, like in the 10 yard by Blues, they said those homes are going to be 150 to 250,000. They say that was average affordable housing for the income, right? But those houses started at like $275,000 to $350,000 and upward to $400,000. So that's not affordable. And then the mayor's going on Wall Street Journal talking about Pensacola got more $1 million home sales than. So we see what's going on. Put tax caps so our elders aren't losing their homes and don't have property to pass down generationally. So that way our children can start from a place of equity. And then also one reason the city council votes with the mayor pretty much on every decision, he sits down with the city council. In Pensacola, the mayor, DC Reeves, sits down with every member of the city council to tell him what he's proposing, ask them if they have any reservations voting his direction. And because he strong arms them in that room, that's not strong mayor. That's coercion and intimidation. And there should be an ethics complaint filed by the city council persons for that sunshine meeting. But they disclose it in a way where the mayor strong arming them decisions by having them private meetings. So before they get to the meeting, he already know how they voting.
So that becomes a problem because I hate when people say, "Oh, like excusing the lack of city council doing stuff by saying it's a strong mayor form of government." To me, that doesn't mean that I have to vote with you. City council doesn't have to vote with you because it's a strong mayor form of government. You do have a conscience. And to me, if you see that your people are being disproportionately affected, at what point do you say enough is enough? Or at what point do you stop saying, okay, I'm just going to do whatever they say? That to me becomes a problem. At what point in time do you say, I'm going to stop? I'm going to ignore the fact that because even though the mayor says this, the city council still votes the same way they do. At what point do you say, okay, city council, now I'm looking at you, because I elected you, I put you in that seat to represent me. At what point are you going to represent me and stop looking at trying to give a justification or excuse? Percy, you're about to say something?
I was just going to say, while we have the strong mayor format, that does not mean the city council cannot override the mayor. Right. I need some folks to read the charter and they need to know what powers they have. The city council does have power. This is not
as much as I'm looking as much as I'm looking forward, Derek, to your Zoom information about running for mayor, running for
Oh,
mayor,
that ain't me. That's the FDP. But yes, go ahead.
running for a city seat or running for a state seat.
That's running for anything.
I'm interested, but I've seen some great people come out and go in and come out the biggest Uncle Toms I've ever seen, and I don't want that to be me. So
Well, so, and again, that's why I think it's important to have people that I hear you. And that's why I think it's important to have people that hold you or hold people in the spaces that they are accountable. To say it's not enough to say I'm black, you black, we black, or I'm brown, you brown, we brown. Like it's not enough when you are doing me harm, or I'm telling you you are doing me harm. It's not enough to say, okay, I'm black, I'm gonna ride with you because I'm black, even though you're stabbing me. That don't make any sense. That literally makes zero sense to me. But we continue to see it time and time again. So I guess as I look to you guys, my question becomes, well, we see the issue, we see where we are. What's next? What do we do? What is the call? So that you have however many thousands of people who are watching WBQP, plus I tag each one of you on our lives, the combined power of our lives on our Facebook pages. What's the resolve? How do we get, what's the next step?
I will say this: we are having something tomorrow, and if you're interested, please message me or Jonathan Green or Clarissa or Haley. Please message us because one thing, Derek, I love the question. We have an answer, but the one thing we will not do is sit on this platform and tell everybody what our next
Right,
move.
right.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was trying to get you to get that to that point. That's what I'm trying to get you, not to.
Well, I do think it's important though that people are going to meetings, because here's the other thing. Our representatives, they're one person, okay? And they do need to hear from us. And sometimes there are issues out there that they're not even aware of is an issue, as well as also coming out to vocalize what our issues are, so the entire council or commission hears what's really happening. That's important as well. So sometimes, when they're voting with the mayor, and I've been told it might not be always a good thing about me, but I do always try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I do look for the good in everyone. I'm going to go on the side of, they just don't know. Sometimes they really don't know. And our responsibility as citizens, let them know, be heard. Hey, this is an issue. This is something I'm concerned with. And the reasons why. And showing both sides. Because unfortunately, everyone's life is lifing, and maybe they didn't do all the research before they voted. It happens. We need to make sure the information is out there. We need to bring it to their attention.
I have a question. For like the city council, okay? The city council, they don't have each representative on the council, they don't have like a quarterly meeting, anything like that to hear from the constituency to see how the constituency want to go with a certain issue.
I can answer that. Not yes and no, but their direct input should be the neighborhood association meetings. Each one of the city councils has one, if not more than one, neighborhood association meetings that they should be, at least at bare minimum, attending to hear what their folks' points of views are relative to the things that are impacting their constituents.
And if there's no other meetings going on, then they should call the meeting to let the people know exactly what's going on. If they have to do some some door-to-door work, to inform their constituency what's going on and why it may or may not affect them. And definitely any decision that's made going to affect them one way or the other, directly or indirectly. So it seems to me that if I want to keep my job as a representative of the people, then it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I get out and make sure that the people know what's happening in the community, what's about to happen, whether whether they're gonna have a place to live, what they need to prepare for if they are about to tear down those buildings. Do they, have they warned the people in advance of it so they can begin to look for something? So if this decision is already made, uh, if not, Jeremy, I think what y'all did other night did wake up a lot of people because there's a lot of people been talking about it. That's for sure.
And you know what, Mr. McIntosh, and also to what you just touched on, is that they don't hold these meetings because they don't have to. People don't care, what most of our people don't. I'm going to focus on us because the other side, or they'll go down there and complain about the sidewalk real quick, and they get fixed, But us, we don't care, so they don't have to come pander. They don't have to do all that. Now, if we keep this momentum up that we are definitely in the middle of, they're gonna have to do more of the meetings. And I think, and I'm going to say major apologies before I say this to Derek Scott. And my aunt work over there with y'all, so if I'm glad she not tech savvy and watching this because she'll be done cuss me out tonight. But that's the danger with black people just going straight Democratic down the line, because you got some Democrats that is killing us. They black, but but what can you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to start filtering out. I just don't know. Like, certain people rely on the black community, number one, to just go down the line and vote Democrat. So then they don't have to they ain't got to do nothing for us. They ain't got to do nothing. There's some candidates right now that are secure. Well, before gentrification, of course, all they got to do is show up, wave, and we're going to show up and put them in, no matter what they do to harm us. And we're not looking. I mean, we're looking on this Zoom, but not everybody. And then you got people that run against them in the primaries, and they're not even given a shot. And those are the people that need to be replacing some of these people. So is the Democratic Party bad? I don't want nobody to twist what I'm saying. No, it's not. But there are certain individuals that are giving that Democratic Party a bad name. And unfortunately, you know, they got skin that look like me. And so it's just one of those things to where, like, yes, I'm a registered Democrat, but that don't mean I'm gonna automatically hand you my vote.
All right.
Because if I just see it all the time, and I can't wait till we talk off camera, because the old me, I wouldn't care. I just start naming names. I don't want to beat around the bush. I want to tell you exactly who I'm talking about. But for the sake of, uh, I don't know what this sake of is, because so, so many people
Well,
now are looking to
don't
me to
don't
lead
look.
a
Don't
charge.
not
I don't
name
want to
names
cause
because I'm sitting
division.
here. Because I'm an avid believer, and any of my folks, BJ, Jill, who's shaking her head, Christina will tell you I 100% believe in put a name up. And I'm trying to be respectful in this conversation by not doing so. But I'm 100% because you talked about and I want to address something you said. You talked about people doing their harm. I believe there are. I 100% agree with you. There are people who are in office who are doing us harm, and we ain't saying anything about it. I will say, to me, last year, I remember saying one thing about it, and I got lambasted by everybody under the sun because I said something. I dared to say something, right? But that's just me. But now when we get back to it, to the point, I think it is imperative to look at people who you can hold accountable. This is why I talk about having candidate recruitment being paramount and to making sure that you have the right people who run, because you can't, we as democratic leaders, BJ, who those of you all don't know, BJ is the chair, my counterpart in Santa Rosa. If you don't know Jill is the state committee woman. Everybody knows Jill. You can't not be a Democrat in Florida and not know Jill, but she is the state committee woman in Okaloosa County. We can't stop anybody from signing up to run for office, right? So if they are a Democrat and they want to run for office, we have no choice but to, that's them running for office, right? Now, are you about to disagree with me on that one? Clarissa, you shook your head.
No. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but I got so much to say. And
Yeah.
I'm just trying to,
I'm
waiting.
But what I will say is it's imperative. Like I sent to you, I sent to Jonathan, I sent to Helen, hey, there's a run for office Zoom that the Florida Democratic Party is putting on tomorrow. Now, do I believe that it's going to be about shit? Probably not, but you know, at least it is. They're doing something. I can't tell you it's going to be beneficial, but I think it's imperative to put people who you can put as candidates or who you can back as candidates to not be the person that you are going to regret a year or 2 years down the line from supporting. I think that is critical to be able to identify and rally around those people. Anybody can run for office. You know, Jill, I feel like help me out. I feel like you're about to say something, but maybe you weren't. Like, yeah, I think it's just critical. Go ahead.
So here's the thing, and one, when we talk about people in office and somebody maybe looking like us that's not for us. Now let's be real. We in Pensacola, we only have a few Black officials. Okay. So my challenge would be, have you gone to these people? Have you talked to them? Is there something in particular that there's been an issue that someone's dropped the ball? Because if not, I gotta know. Have we done what we're supposed to do?
Issues. Malcolm Young.
Who's we?
Like who? Yeah.
I think you already know about everybody on this Zoom, but are you talking about the community as a whole? Or are you talking about?
Saying, okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, the community as a whole. But when you put out and say, well, when there's a statement made that we don't just want, and don't get me wrong, we don't just want anybody in office. And you're right, anybody can run for office. But one of my pet peeves is this: we as a people, we should be about building generational wealth. And we're not building generational wealth when we put our money on a campaign that a person's not going to win. Oftentimes, and let me just speak from personal experience, because I don't want to get in nobody else's race. I can just speak on the times I've run for office. There's a bunch of people that run. It's like 4 and 5 people running for this seat. And of course, only one person is going to win. Mm-hmm. So the other 4 people who had donors donate to this campaign, and again, this is all people that look like us. What are we really doing? And can we have a conversation? For the first time, I choose not to run for a seat, and I'm just putting this out there. And nobody else runs. Is it about me? But my point is, and I'm just food for thought. But
I understand you.
We have to start. Yes, anybody can run for office, but as a community, we have to start having the real conversations about who should be running, or rather, where we put our dollars. we need to have debates. We need to have all types of things going on so people really know each person who's running and if they do and don't know issues. Because at the end of the day, it really hurts us and it keeps us against each other.
And
I know you got to say something, Jonathan.
oh, you got it. Go ahead.
I promise 2
What you
seconds.
saying, brother?
I agree. I agree. But I will say this. Here's a telltale sign that we was in trouble. When Haley didn't win, that was a telltale sign we was in trouble. Haley has been organizing for years. She showed you who she was 12 times over. She's a DJ on the radio, in the clubs, where the young people at. She a social worker of the year. She helps out families, mental health. So if she helped your family in a mental health space, if she spun at your wedding, your party, or if you have seen her and been affected by her organizing, like her part of taking down that Confederate flag that used to fly over the Bay Center, and she didn't get elected, that
That
lets you
part.
know that black people love putting the wrong people in office. Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry.
No apology needed, brother, because you hit the nail on the head. Because I'll further echo a sentiment that so for the past 10 years prior to this past April, I have been no party affiliate, independent. I re-registered. I've always been Democrat before that, and I just re-registered as a Democrat. Just um, you know, it's what it is. I was independent because Malcolm X said, if you register independent, the system cannot gerrymander you. We know how important gerrymandering is. So the fact that my liberal mind has never left me, my advocacy for my people have never left me, but a support of a Democratic Party of someone who's independent, but just as liberal as yesterday, today, and tomorrow, you have to question that in a sense for someone who still goes to register. I can still think independently. But the thing is, if someone like myself is elected under a Democratic hat, that if I go to an office somewhere where I'm a representative among others and I don't vote the party ticket on bills and legislation, no one's going to vote for mine. But the thing is, are we voting for what's right, or are we voting for what's popular? Are we voting for what the trend is that could be against the will of the people? For instance, Florida voted to recreationalize marijuana. We voted to have felons and prisoners restore their voting rights. So it goes into the same thing that I think you said, Derek, that if we prop somebody up, you have to support them regardless. But the thing is, what if no one's propped up? Are you going to support the independent candidate? No. If they're liberal, not necessarily. The Democratic Party may not, even though it may be in their interest too. But it's two sides to the coin. So in a federal election, you have to be real. A federal president appointing federal judges, you might want a Democratic president appointing those federal judges, because those are the ones who are allowing people to be deported or not. Those are the ones, but at the same time, it's nothing against the party. Like it's the flip of the coin. Their no interest is beneficial to Black folks, because we still, over decades, even after DEI and affirmative action, we still getting the short end of the stick.
I just want to say that I got so much respect for all of y'all. This is probably one of the best conversations I had all year. Like, we've been on this Zoom for 78, 80 minutes. We started off with one question and one topic, Fricker, and it led us to this. That's how you know we are up against a big, big problem. It's a tangled web, and we just walked from Jim Reeves and Mayor Reeves and their family of deception, generational wealth, of gentrification, and what is falling, what has an Aragon court. We heard it all. I mean, we went from Terry McMillan, Truth for Youth, to the city council, to why Black people ain't getting elected. That's Democrats supposed, and we're right here this is a tangle web. So you can't even start the conversation of what y'all thought the topic was going to be without us getting to, and we ain't even got enough time for the night to finish this conversation. We could go all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning and still be left on the table. So this has been a system that has designed, when I tell you the powers that be, I know that they are enemy. I know they have done us harm, but let me tell you one thing I can say positive about them. They have did their thing when it comes to oppressing us. Oh, they have masterclass this. I mean, like, they are amazing at evil. Like, for real. And we are sitting here and going back and forth about some of the problems that we have, and we're still trying to figure out small petty problems to fix, to just get a little bit ahead, while they're every stride they take, they're getting 30 miles ahead of us. Ain't that something?
That's true.
I did want to mention too that for instance, when I've run for office, one of my goals, having been MPA and being a Democrat now, I think it would be wise to follow a similar ideology that in the Escambia County area, we have about 47% Republicans, about 27% Democrat, and the remainder is like independent and other. That if you get 20% of both parties and the independents as an independent, you have half the vote. It's possible with those numbers, you can poach people who don't think in the extreme realms, but also one thing that the statistic shows in voting, that 30% of registered voters vote, but that's not counting the unregistered people, just registered people. So if a third of registered voters vote, target the 2/3 of people who don't, the non-super voter list, go after them and solidify 66% of the people who are already not participating but are on the list.
Yeah. So what I will. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, BJ. You've been quiet. You're on mute.
I just wanted to say, in reference to Haley not being successful in her race, you have to understand that she also was the first candidate to run after redistricting, where they basically took a whole section south of Highway 98 along the water and added that to House District 2. So that means that, like, there's no reason why I should be voting in House District 2 now. The issues in my area have nothing to do with Pensacola, but now I'm in Pensacola's district, basically because they saw where the demographics are going, and so they needed to add white voters, more Republican voters, and so she basically had a tougher race. It's going to take a decade at least, I would say, before we are as close as we were in previous elections for House District 2, now that they've redrawn the lines.
Now, I do want to say, because this is not my expertise, so this is more of a question and not a kickback. But based on how many, when I say I knew we was in trouble, based on what she lost by, based on the amount of black people that didn't vote, if they would have voted, it would have been much closer, or she could have won it, right?
Yeah, well, so here's where I'm going to push, because you got a twofold issue. There are twofold in that. What BJ said is absolutely spot bang on. What you're saying is spot bang on, but I'm going to add a different layer to that. With Haley's race, there was the point that we, as people of color, black folks, did not come out the way they needed to come out. That's number one. Number two, again, I believe in putting names on it, so I'm going to put names on it. We had a sea of white Democrats in Escambia and Santa Rosa County who refused to help her, and those people who controlled the liturgy of other white Democrats. When I'm talking about who they are, let's be clear on who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the DNC rep that sits up here for the state of Florida named Samantha Hope Henry. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Diane Crummels. I am talking about the Blue Panhandle Coalition that supposedly want to help Democrats, but don't do a damn thing with respect to black Democrats. That coalition of white people who have no desire to help or see black Democrats succeed stood in her way. I want to be very clear on what Diane Pummel said, specific to that, her goal was to make sure that Haley did not receive more votes than what she did when she ran for that very same seat back in 2020 or 2018, whatever year it was. That was her goal. So to be clear, you have a multifaceted layer of things that worked against Haley. Now I'm 100% of the mindset that, and then I'm going to add a fourth layer. Escambia Democrats, Santa Rosa Democrats didn't necessarily have the organizing capabilities to do what we needed to do to get out the vote, right? So when we think now going forward to what that looks like in 2026, we have an influx of dollars thanks to Gabe Valamont for the DECs, for the Black caucuses, for the LGBT caucus, for whomever to get behind and coalesce and do what we need to do to put the financial means to help candidates get across the finish line. We have now, thanks to the Phil Air and the Air Force PAC, we have a data-driven strategy on how to win, because we cleared on the April 1st election in Escambia County. Make no mind about it. They want to say, oh, it was the Blue Panhandle Coalition. No, my friend. We had a list of each one of our DECs had a list of 10 plus precincts that we were going to target to make sure that Gay got out of the hump. Out of the 10 that Escambia had and worked, she won and flipped every one of those. I'm talking about Myrtle Grove. So we now have a data-driven approach that doesn't discount the paid canvassers that Gay had, because they did an awful lot. They worked to the point. But we now have, in the spirit of where we didn't have, we now have a data-driven model and work and the financial resources to do it. So I don't believe that we're going to, I'm going to differ a little bit from BJ. I don't know that we're 10 from BJ. I don't know that we're 10 years out, but we are. It is a much more doable race with the right candidates. Where goes my pitch? When we talk about 2026, what does that look like? That looks like we have a mayor that's up for reelection, city councils, districts, awards 2, 4, and 6 that are up for reelection. We have the school board for districts 1 and 4. Oh Lord, I forgot already. District 1, District 2, and District 3. Same with the ECUA board. Notwithstanding state reps, House Districts 1 and 2, and the congressional seat. Now, congressional seat, to BJ's point, that might be 10 plus years away from winning. Even then, I don't know. But at this point in time, we have a way and a methodology that we all are able to, if not flip, move the needle in the right direction. And that's where I would like to see us go. But again, we can't do that if we don't have candidates to be able to support to do that endeavor. So like Clarissa, I know you said you weren't running. I would hope that there's a city council seat or a mayoral seat that you would tend to look for in 2026 that would be able to push us forward and get us to coalesce behind the right person to actually move what we need as a community forward. That's all I have to say. And I'm sorry, we have a late person who's been watching via Zoom who wanted to join, who asked me, like, can I please join? So I wanted to introduce Armando Grundy Gomez, who is serves as the statewide president of the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida. Welcome, Armando. We did.
I wanted to ask you a question. Have you did a survey to find out why there are so many disaffected Black people leaving the Democrat Party, or what did you hear?
And unapologetically doing that. So I hope I answered your question, Brother McIntosh, with that.
I I want to say sometimes it does feel like, especially before Jazz. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I keep just butting in on you. My
You
bad.
good, my brother. Definitely.
Before Jasmine Crockett, be honest with you, Democrats were some chumps, man. And then they get in office, same people that we elected, they get in there, they forget about us. So, you know, then with these young folks, uh, depending on where you look at, can't tell the difference nowadays between Republican or Democrat. So, you know, Malcolm X said, Democrats bite with a smile and Republicans bite with a growl. Either way, I don't like being bitten. But I'm a registered Democrat by default. But my faith in the Democratic Party, it, when you got, again, to your point, Black women driving this fight, you got people like, I know their face, I can't say all their names, but people like Crockett or whatever that's standing up, that's fighting fire with fire for years, years. Like, GW, he did it on a level not as of Trump. I'm not talking about who GW is now. I'm talking about when he was in office. He was not great to the Black community. Bush and all these people, and then you get. I don't want to go in too deep, but I'm just telling you. You asked the question why you think Black men or Black people are leaving the Democratic Party because they can't see the difference between the two and being taken for granted, like you're just gonna get my vote, is it's kind of crazy. That's my opinion. Um, mhm.
Jonathan, what were you about to say?
I did want to say, someone who I voted my first election in 2004. Always a registered Democrat. My grandfather told me, his father and his father told him to never vote Republican based on the party switch, and my people haven't been in servitude, right? So purely taken, but 10 years of voting Democrat. And then while I was in law school, I studying Malcolm X still just as heavy, and the Black Panther Party, Marcus Garvey, many of the greats. Malcolm X said to register independent, to not allow yourself to be gerrymandered. One of the biggest fights Democrats fight is the fight against gerrymandering. So listening to someone who had an economic plan for people who look like me, I registered that way. And I think a common misconception that yourself, Mr. Grundy, Mr. Armando, and that my grandfather had, such as in 2015 or 14 when I switched to MPA, was that for some reason I'm going to vote Republican now. That doesn't mean I voted. That same county that you spoke of turned blue. I was a part of the reason it turned blue. I voted still in accord with my liberal mind because I voted in my interest. It doesn't mean because you can't identify where to send your letter of someone who's already voting for you, it doesn't mean I'm not. It means that now I get to get the literature from the Republican Party to see what they're thinking, just like on Fox News, if I choose to watch that to see what they're thinking. The same way military personnel and myself have read Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf to understand enemy mind. We're at war for our lives every day I walk out the house, whether I'm going to be arrested by law enforcement, which I have more than I like. I'm a civil rights advocate. I work for the New Jersey Attorney General's office and developed a nationwide pilot program for the Division on Civil Rights. And I don't mind being MPA because as a mediator, I'm neutral. If I ever want to go get my license to then be a judge, I would still do the same to maintain my neutrality and being a mediator and a neutral. It has nothing to do with the party. It has everything to do that a party's not fighting for me. And every time I register as it, they dilute what's the problem they said with District 2 here is that they gerrymandered it and put more white population to dilute the black vote. If we're all MPA, they can't do that. So it has nothing to do with me leaving the party. It has everything to do with me protecting it and protecting the black women who are the most unprotected person on this planet, including my daughters, because it's not safe when I leave home.
Jill, we haven't heard from you tonight.
I'm listening. And since President Armando was on, I was going to let him kind of do his thing. I do have something to say, but I'm going to let you guys get through this. And Jermaine, you're so funny. I just want you to know I see the looks. You're hilarious. I love it.
And all due respect, I am back registered as a Democrat now because I understand chess.
Was not an aspersion or a judgment of anybody. I was just making observations of why folks are leaving it. And as a black man on this planet for 46 years, I get it, right? I get it. And I don't disagree with a lot of things that have been shared. Thank you.
Armando, before we move on, there was a question that was posed in the chat, and it goes directly to you. And the question was, what is the true investment that the statewide Democratic Black Caucus is putting in the Panhandle?
So thank you for that question. And I think it's largely important to address, I'm not addressing the previous record of predecessors. It's starting from, I was elected on April 5th and starting from that day going forward. Being in office just over a few months under my leadership, what we're doing. And I think it's the first thing I ran on. I said, it's time to start changing the narrative and the dialogue about where we're starting. In the first place, as I said, we want to center Blackness and define. We've got to understand we're not here to build community with everybody. And that's been a very tenuous and uncomfortable conversation for some. But that's just centering. So we're not just building political capital, we're investing in people and in purpose. So across the state, our caucus. Now we have some logistical things that we have to get through like we're doing, some logistical things internally that we have to do and for the state. And once we get through those things, then we can begin to do that. But to answer the question, it's cultivating and building a pipeline for the next generation of Black leadership. That's one. So fortifying our infrastructure. Let me give you a prime example of what I mean by that. There was a mayor in Atlanta. Her name was Shirley Franklin. And she said, I'm running because I'm doing something that's not necessarily the most sexy thing. She said, I'm going to fix the sewage lines that are underneath the ground and the underwater piping. Why? Because somebody has to do it. Well, I also understand this. It's kind of like the Baskin Robbins flavor of the month, at least here. How many phone calls do I get every other day or every day? Is that one is this issue, insert issue here, whether it's alligator Alcatraz or whatever issue, I get a phone call about it. Issues come, issues go, candidates come and candidates go. If we don't invest in our Black caucuses who are here to build and be the voice of 1.8 million Black Floridians, if we don't build our capital, we can't address any of those said issues. So the other thing is, we want to build that infrastructure, so a pipeline, so whether it's Clarissa or Brother Williams or Brother Green or Brother McIntosh or whoever's on here, we start building a pipeline and start instilling that so that we can hold these systems accountable. That's one. So having strategic initiatives, voter mobilization campaigns, advocacy. One of the things is that we are supposed to be that voice, that center voice, at least if in the Democratic Party. And a lot of times you keep hearing about, well, what about this community? And these are also the distractions. So the first thing is making sure we are talking about our issues and what impacts us. And I want to make sure, Jill or Derek, that I'm answering that question. If I miss something, please let me know, because I want to make sure I'm answering that question fully.
So here's where I will step in.
Yeah.
I think you answered it the way you answered it as the president of the DBCF, and we appreciate that. But I think maybe what they wanted to hear is, what are we going to do for voter registration? How are we going to impact our communities? So I think you've given your philosophy. I believe and I didn't write the question, but I believe the question is more, okay, we know the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida has been here because they have Christina here, they have Jill here, they have Derek here, and many others of us that represent at the local or the state level. But what is it that the DBCF is going to do collectively across the state, especially where we sit right now? Because that's imperative. So if we're asking, if they're already scared sketchy to be a Democrat, why should they follow the Democratic Black Caucus, which gives Democrat and Black all together? I think that would be the better question.
Okay. Thank you for that clarity, Jill. I appreciate that. So, and I see Brother Williams has his hand up too. Number one is, I was just talking about why it is important. We have not had a story, I don't feel, in a long time, of when folks are leaving or why they should come back. And if they're feeling, to your point, Jill, disaffected, or why should they already come back? We've got to be that catalyst. And how do we do that? The way we do that is, number one, talking about what made us great as Democrats, especially Black Democrats. We get caught up in celebrity. I think, Brother Williams, I heard you bring up Miss Crockett. What about the teachers that go to work every day, the nurses, the first responders? What made this Democratic Party great? We were the party of working class people. We weren't trying to be everything to everybody. Specifically for the Black Caucus, well, Jasmine Crockett is great, but not everybody's Jasmine Crockett. Some of us, some moms and dads are working 2 jobs. Some of us, we've got to start talking about those people and their stories and bringing them back so that we can register and say, we're here to fight for you. We've got to center that. And so when we're dealing with whether it's going to be the same story no matter where we go. So if it's the same in the Panhandle, whether it's Escambia, Santa Rosa, or whatever, we're going to have the same story. So we've got to start talking about how we can impact the lives of the people that we impact most, and that's Black folks and Black people, and centering those issues. And the other thing is, just to make sure that I want to answer the question, I don't pretend to have all the answers just because I have the title of president. So what I also want to hear is, we also have, as our local chapter caucuses in the Panhandle. Your situations in the Panhandle are different than what's going down in Miami. And so what's going to most impact you all in voter registration is going to be different for every other parts of the state. And so we want to make sure we have regionalized plans or localized plans that are conducive for Escambia that may not work in Duval and certainly may not work in Alachua, where I'm from. So we have to be cognizant of that. It's everything is local. All politics are local. That is a good statement and true. So not just being philosophical or having sophistry to answer the question, but making sure that we very much focus on what made us great, and getting back to that, because we very much have been a party that has been everywhere and all over the map. Specifically, when it comes to Black people, we got to make sure we are talking about our issues, our community, and centering that.
Thank you. Jermaine.
Yeah, thank you. So what I was initially raised my hand to say was like, we got a big day tomorrow and I'm going to sign off. And I just want to thank you all. And we're going to keep y'all updated. We're definitely going to shake this city up. We already have. And we're not doing nothing new, Mr. McIntosh and Mr. Watson. And we're just taking the torch from y'all and telling y'all to go ahead and just watch us and take a good well-deserved rest, But, and that's what I was about to say, but since you said something to me, let me say this and I will go definitely. It's not about the celebrity. Like, I live in Pensacola, Florida, Escambia County. Good old boy. Super good old boy. It's nowhere like this in Florida. So we got it on every level. We got it in what is Representative Salzman. And I almost called her something. I'm sorry. On a Sunday too, I gotta repent. But Representative Salzman, then you got that governor, and then you got, of course, Trump. So what we see I understand we got to get back to the common people, but the common people want to see the people in the spotlight stop getting bullied. Like, I'm not getting behind no chumps. I'm sorry, them days over with. I'm not getting behind no chumps. I done watched this man and this party straight up bully the Democrats, bully Joe Biden, bully Kamala, and just being a bully. And we are, and I say we because I'm a registered Democrat. Ain't nothing wrong with class, but I love to quote Malcolm. He's above me. Uh, but Malcolm said the racists don't understand a peaceful language. Like, we got to speak the language they understand. Like, when Kennedy went against Nixon, class all day. When you talking about Trump versus fill in the blank, man, punch that man in the face. Like, I'm just like, go do what they doing. And that's what I'm saying when I say the people in the spotlight that we see, we're seeing them go. I have my opinion of Angie Nixon, of what kind of leader I think she is. I used to live in Duval County. I know sometimes she show up, sometimes she don't, but I was there when she really took the gloves off with DeSantis at the Dollar General during the mass shooting. So proud of her, proud to be a Democrat that day. Those days don't come often. So we are dealing with younger generation, and these are generations of people that watch fight videos that aggression is aggressive. And if you're seeing two people getting, well, I mean, I'm looking in the comments of I can't even think of Say Cheese. It's a big outlet where all the younger folks, people my son age, they followed this on Instagram and it was talking about how they was voting for Trump. Trump a gangster, man. Trump don't care. Trump bullying Joe Biden. And that's what it is. We don't have no fight. And Black people have been downtrodden for so long. We don't want to be associated with losers. And right now, that's what the Democratic Party is looking like. Not the losing of as it pertains to the outcome. It's just being tossed around and bullied. It's time to take the gloves off. And that's what the appeal is. It's perception. And people our age, we know better. We know that Joe Biden, even on his declining health, is a better leader than Trump. We know that. But these kids don't know that. And these kids, listen, we need to raise the limit of vote to 25, to be honest, because they too young to know what they voting for. But that's a whole nother topic. Thank y'all. God bless y'all. I appreciate y'all. And y'all keep fighting the good fight.
Thanks, Jermaine. Thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate you. DJ, before I saw your hand was up and then you put it down. Do you have something you wanted to say?
Well, I think I was really going to echo what he said in terms of, even though I really, really love President Obama, I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't need a Harvard written, speech to in this moment. I've been hearing some of his responses, and I'm like, as somebody who is ride or died Obama, this not it, son. Like, I'm not feeling it, and I love Obama, but some of I'm more of I need another Jasmine. I need the male version of a Jasmine Crockett or an Ayanna Presley or an AOC and I don't really feel like we have that in the black male space. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying I'm not seeing it. And the person that I'm looking to for it is not giving it to me. Obama is not giving me what I would think Mr. Williams had articulated. He's not serving what I think is needed in this moment. He's given me, 2007, 2006, not 2025.
BJ, I will tell you, and I think you can ask Derek and you can ask Jill. What I have to say is, what I say as Armando, I can't necessarily always say as the leader of an entire organization, because I'm not here to just speak for myself. I have no problem taking the gloves off. I just feel like as a party, we don't know how to fight. We fight back and trying to outsmart and out logistic, to your point about President Obama. Let me be really candid about it. When we had the election, when President Obama was talking down to us as black men and giving us that paternalistic, very sounding about blaming us for the election loss, it was not our fault. 80% of black men turned out and voted for Kamala Harris. But we didn't have that same energy from the former president when it came to our sisters and brothers in the Hispanic communities. He didn't say anything to them. There was not a mention. And so to me, I felt like that was an opportunity. Someone should have said to former President Obama, then maybe Duolingo or Rosetta Stone might have helped you with, learning Se habla español. Because right then, why are we talking and saying blaming black men for the loss? The data doesn't support that. So when we have people, and I kept saying it during the election, we teach people how to treat us, as a good friend once told me. And so I'm not saying that I like you, I like President Obama too, but I also think that we have to learn how to fight back. And this idea that we're just going to keep our white gloves off, we had a governor that systematically destroyed us when he came in as a populist governor, and we don't fight back. So I don't disagree with you. I just have to also understand that there's balance. And while I like to be a certain way, I can't be that way all the time, because watch what does happen, BJ, if I may. I know you're Dr. BJ, but if I may, if I am that way, sometimes you'll get saying, well, why are you an angry black man? Or I need you to dial it back, or I need you to do those things. How many times do you hear that? Why don't I get to determine if I'm passionate? Or why don't I get to determine why am I angry? Because you know why? There's a nice book that I want to tell everybody they should read. It's called Nice Racism: How Progressive White Folks Have Perpetuated Racial Harm on Black People. And it's written by Robin DiAngelo. And it's a white woman, it's a white author who's a white woman. And she also wrote White Fragility, if you ever read that. We always seem to cater to white fragility. We always do. I can't tell you how painful it is. But that's why when I see our black women, who, to our point, we have to stand by them. I am never going to apologize for defending and standing up for black folks. Now, if there's a better way for me to do it, I'm open to it. But I want to hear from you all, because it's really important. So thank you for that feedback, BJ, Brother Green, all of you. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, one of the things Vernon and I and others been talking about this a long time, that the Democrat Party was not showing the strength and the tenacity that was needed, and to fight with and I'm talking about on the level from people in DC and people that has the ear of the media and all of that. were not fighting fire with fire. It was only a few out there doing it. And the few that was doing it, like the sister in St. Louis, the other guy in was it New Jersey and New York, they both lost because they were fighting. And the people seem to have turned on them for fighting. And sometimes I think that's why some people won't fight, because people turn their back thinking that they ought to carry the water themselves instead of all of us carrying a share of it, making it easy on that person who is fighting for. Jasmine Crockett is fighting like mad, as you said earlier, but they are trying to redraw her district, not to draw her out of out of Congress. And they're doing it right now. So out there in Texas. And so it's, her standing up may cause her to lose, because they very well may redraw the district. And I'm not saying she shouldn't stand up just because she might lose. She should stand up because she's representing a constituency that need to hear what she has to say. But the thing about it, she has a huge following out there. I don't think she'll lose, but I think it's going to make it much harder for her to win if they redraw the district. And then on the other hand, it'll backfire on them. And instead of them getting some seats, they might lose more seats than they intend to pick up, that they have potential to pick up. They may lose just that many seats, because now you're putting other people in certain districts by cutting up those districts that may be have unintentional consequences as a result of what they are doing. Derek, I see we got 1 minute, so handing it back over to you.
Well, I'm not sure I just want to say thank you to Jermaine, and thank you, Jonathan, for coming on, and thank you to Clarissa for joining us tonight. I can tell by our viewers. I was looking at our viewers on the live stream, and I don't think we've ever had that many consistent viewers like throughout. I'm dying to see the analytics on the show tonight on the live stream. I'm certain, Mr. Verne, I'd love to see if people tuned in and everybody said, "Why turn to channel 12.1?" and see if they were watching on the television screen. But certainly, I want to say thank you to the three of you guys for coming on. I definitely appreciate it. This was a very spirited discussion. If I'm honest, I'd like to see more of these type of discussions go on the show. I think this is helpful, and certainly proven a learning lesson for all. If you can get a little bit more engagement in these topics on a recurring basis, oftentimes I think it would be great. So I guess on behalf of the show, thank you for those who viewed. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Armando, for joining us to add your points of view from the state perspective. We appreciate it. Please be sure to join us next weekend at same time, same channel. Thank you. Have a great week. Make sure you join if you can on the 31st if you're in Escambia County at the Fricker Center for that meeting, and we'll move forward, and hopefully we'll see some change that we so desperately need. Have a great weekend, great week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Good night.
Have a great night. Thank you so much.